I am Don Luigi Velasquez, a master craftsman, but some call me the champion bootmaker. I love the rally. It gives me the motivation to create my best work.
Las botas del campeón, todos los pilotos las quieren.
I am so happy. The greatest has returned. My most cherished champion, Sebastian Loeb. Everyone expects big things, and I have prepared an extra pair of boots for him.
Lev ya tiene 6 pares, pero quiere otro.
I can't make boots for everyone. Only the winner will get them. I know these boots will be on the podium, but who will get them?
Which of the WRC elites will go home wearing those boots? Well, a few people are banking on this man. Sebastian Loeb, the 9-time world champion, is back, and we'll hear how he succumbed to the call of the WRC.
I always enjoyed since I retired WRC. The sensation you can get in a rally car is something that you don't get anywhere else.
Mexico really is a place like no other. We'll be soaking up the atmosphere out on stage, where fans flock to see the cars in flight mode. Plus, we refuel with last year's winners, Chris Meek and Paul Nagel.
I couldn't trust him to park my car in a bus stop, but he can sense when I'm driving maybe at 101% compared to 99, and his qualities for sure as a co-driver are, for me, second to none.
All that and a little bit of off-road driving thrown in for good measure. Viva WRC Mexico. Into the Americas we go for round 3 of 13 of the World Rally Championship, where we'll be on gravel roads, our third surface change in as many rounds. Monte Carlo had us in a chill, and after the snow of Sweden, it's the searing heat of Mexico. 22 stages welcome the drivers with our rally based in Leon in central Mexico. The stages head out into the surrounding hills, taking in the breathtaking city of Guanajuato on the way. 344 kilometers of competitive stages and thousands of eager fans.
We all know that Latina people love motorsport and are very enthusiastic, so it's nice to see that, to feel the warm welcome every time, and I think we are already looking also forward to the ceremonial start tonight in Guanajuato, which is a very magic place.
It's always nice to be back in Mexico. Obviously, from -10, -20 in Sweden to +30 in Mexico is quite a bit of difference. But it feels nice to be back, and especially this year, it looks to be really nice weather.
Last year was a different rally for sure. We had a lot of cloud overhead. The ground temperatures weren't as high. This is different. It's back to the old Mexico we remember. Baked, hard roads, dusty on top, and yeah, it's going to be a different rally.
And if Sweden gave the drivers a headache with road sweeping, expect more of the same here for the championship leaders. Neuville leads the way, so he'll be first on the road with Sébastien Ogier behind him, both helping to sweep loose gravel off the roads for those behind them, amongst whom is Sebastian Loeb, back after a long hiatus.
It will not be easy, for sure. I lost a lot of experience during these 5 years, and the guys in front, I think, will not wait for me. So I know it will be complicated, but on another side, we are here to have fun with Daniel, and the car works well. At the moment, everything is okay.
And this is who Loeb will face out on stage. Championship leader Thierry Neuville with a 10-point lead over Ogier after his win in Sweden. Behind them, the 3 Toyotas of Latvala, Lappi and Tanak. In the manufacturer standings, Hyundai lead by a single point over Toyota after their reversal of fortunes at round 2. M Sport dropped to 4th as their lead man Ogier suffered in Sweden. It was a torrid time in the snow for Ogier. After success in Monte Carlo, the Frenchman ran first on the road in Sweden, acting like a snowplow for those behind. And after languishing outside the points for much of the rally, he seized the chance to score extra points in the power stage by checking in late in a bid to start lower down the order and benefit from better grip. A decision that raised an eyebrow or two in the service park.
First, my feeling was
I was annoyed what happened with what Sebastian did, but at the end, when you think about it later, I must say it was a clever move.
Yeah, well, I've been thinking about doing it many times with Volkswagen, but we never did it in the end. Yeah, in Seb's position, he's fighting for the World Championship, so he needs every point he can take.
We had, of course, the same idea for Chris. We have decided not to do it because we thought it was not a sportive attitude for us. But okay, Ogier had tried it and it worked, so he was right.
You don't have to search far in the history books for tales of team orders, with controversy never far away. But world titles are won and lost by fine margins, and no one knows that better than M Sport's Malcolm Wilson.
We lost the championship in Wales Rally GB 1 year by 1 point, and again with Marcus again by 1 point. So when there's 5 points available on the power stage, you do everything within the regulations to try and maximise your points that you can get. We were very open, we were very honest that what was our strategy. We could have quite easily implied that we had a mechanical issue, and I'm sorry, but at the end of the day, as I say, when you've lost championships by 1 point and there's 4 points available and you're not breaking the regulations, then we're going to go for it.
The rules is the same for everyone, and if there is a chance to use it a little bit in our way at some point, everyone will do it. You have to be clever. Since years that I have mentioned what I think about the rules, and that would be much more fair to have the qualifying like to have during many years, and then there will be no chance for anyone to mention the start position. You're good in the qualifying, you pick up a good start position. You're bad in the qualifying, you have a bad start position. So that would be for sure much better.
And road position, still a hot topic again in Mexico, but not for the first stage. A blast around the streets of Old Guanajuato. It's a World Heritage Site. No more fitting start to this rally. The ancient city lined with adoring fans, and they make it a carnival atmosphere. 2.5 kilometers long, and it dives into the tunnels and the hills that put Guanajuato on the map. A true classic had begun.
After our party through the streets of Guanajuato, it's Advantage Nouvelle, the championship leader, with a 1.9 second advantage. 2 kilometers down, 342 to go. We will be back with Friday's action after the break as we head high into the mountains. And come back down with a bang as the action in Mexico continues. Welcome back to Rally Mexico, where we're about to head into the hills around Leon. We'll be reaching altitudes over 2,700 meters for Friday's stages, and those oxygen-hungry cars and drivers will suffer.
Here in Mexico, one of the biggest problems we face is the altitude and its effect on engine performance. Because the pressure is lower, we're unable to get the same amount of air into the engine. Here's a simple demonstration. This represents the air that we can get into the engine at sea level. This is the fuel, and this is the resulting power. Here at altitude, we can only get 75% of the air into the engine. This means we can only burn 75% of the fuel. We get 75% of the power. We're very fortunate that Ford Performance give us access to a climatic chamber at Dunton, which allows us to replicate the altitude conditions before we get here. This allows us to minimise our losses. However, the drivers will still notice the reduced performance throughout the event.
And it's not just speeds on stage that are affected. Last year, Toyota felt the heat in Mexico, thanks to the effects of altitude.
Engine is running far too hot. We have to go to the road mode early on.
That's why the greatest minds in engineering are paid the big bucks as they work together to solve these mechanical conundrums.
Engine and cooling system is like a human being. Here we suffer from lack of air, and when we run, we cannot perform. Engine is the same, loses power and goes slower. Same for cooling efficiency. Air has to go through the cooling system, but it doesn't. Here in Mexico, the altitude is very high, and basically lack of air, this reduces cooling efficiency quite a bit. This is one problem, and another problem here in particular is that this happens in a very slow section of the stage, where the car speed is low, all the efficiency goes down. Basically, air cannot go in and go out. So this will give hard time to every competitors here in Mexico. So we have to work in entrance as well as exit of the air to have a good balance of air that can go in and easily go out. So this is the work that we did over last year to this year.
Time will tell how both car and driver fare as they fire themselves into thin air. But this is what lies ahead on Friday. Into the mountains to the east of Leon we go for 2 identical loops of 3 stages before 3 asphalt sprint stages, making up 155 kilometres of action.
Friday morning, and we were all just a bit short of breath and short of shade as well. What a scorcher it was. As championship leader Thierry Neuville took a deep breath, it will be the last time he'd enjoyed clean air for a long, long time. But Neuville was slowed by the dust and frustrated by the lack of air, so he and his Hyundai were choking all morning. And then by the lunchtime spectator stage, disaster. The man who had put the high back in Hyundai in Sweden had a car with no fuel pressure. And his temper boiled over. Behind him, in the road order, Seb Ogier tackling a road swept clean for him by Neuville.
À la pompe vers léger gauche pour un frein 80 mètres droite 130 pompe accord de tenir. 130 pompe accord de tenir. Tour droite 150 à fond en ciel sur un gauche.
Tyre choice, an easy one for the early starters on Friday. Soft and sticky Michelins. The dust hanging in the thin Mexican air. Ogier already outperforming later starters like Jari-Matti Latvala. On stage 3, Jari-Matti was slower than Ogier. Teammate Tanak was doing better. The Yaris was overheating. The Finn in a sweat. And already looking forward to the service break.
The power went down. Power went down in the midway of the stage. The car wasn't anymore exactly the same as it was in the beginning of the stage. The temperature is, for sure, there is temperature is also rising up, so also this effect. But also maybe I can improve my driving.
Elfyn Evans had earmarked Mexico as a place for a victory this season.
Here in Mexico with a high altitude, we're missing a considerable amount of power, around 20 to 25%, so it makes a significant difference to the power of the car, and therefore a little bit of the dynamics change when you're driving as well. You have to be very, very smooth, not to scrub too much speed in the corners and carry good momentum, so that's very important.
But on stage 4 and in 6th gear and at top speed, Elfyn Evans hit a big bump and his Fiesta flew through the air. The rear end came round. He and co-driver Dan Barrett were passengers in a big roll.
Okay? You okay?
For the time being, it looked as if they got away with it. And then, our first view of the 9-times former champion, Seb Loeb, already among the leading times. And all of this despite 3 years off and a warning that it would take him time to get back in the groove.
I drove well, not perfect for sure. Hesitating a bit in the fast section, sometimes not, but I can push a bit more. I was a bit afraid also for the tire. We have a soft tire, I think everybody except Chris, but seems quite hard, so I need to check the tire before I push.
Now Loeb has 6 pairs of those winner's boots from Mexico. Chris Meek, just the 1 pair. But you could easily argue that it was his caper in the car park last year that put this place on the map. Meek made an early splash this year, but he couldn't keep the early rally lead off Danny Sordo. Sordo of Spain, part-time Danny, enjoying the very best of the cleaner conditions. The circumstances in Mexico had handed Danny a big opportunity, and he was ready to make it stick.
Danny Sordo, the early leader in Mexico by 16.6 seconds. 2 Citroens behind him in the shape of Meek and Loeb. A frustrating start for Thierry Neuville. He's down in 9th, over a minute adrift. Back at the service park, the championship leader cuts a frustrated figure. His arm injured by his car door in stage 5.
Engine issue.
Sorry?
Engine issue.
Over at M Sport, a further blow for the team following Elfyn Evans' crash on stage 4.
The problem at the moment is Dan, because we've had to take him to hospital because I think he's suffering from concussion. So I think it's, well, he definitely won't be continuing this afternoon. There's no question. You can see there's a lot of work going on in the car. The guys can definitely fix the car. But sadly, we won't be able to continue because of Dan's situation. We can't take the risk.
Already one significant casualty on these wild western stages, but one man could still be the lone star round here, Sebastian Loeb. A fistful of wins here, 6 in fact, and he's going for a magnificent 7. He's achieved everything in this sport, so what brings him back?
The reason is because I always enjoyed since I retired WRC to do some rally sometime, just for fun, and the sensation you can get in a rally car is something that you don't get anywhere else. So I had the opportunity this year to test the new Citroen. This is exciting because the cars are completely new, more powerful, more downforce and quite different. So it was interesting, and I had the proposition to drive the car in the race. So I said, why not? Still the WRC car with a bit more power, and the engine. You use the engine a bit differently, more in the raves. It's more downforce, so it makes that in the fast corner you get more grip. Faster you are, more grip you have. So this is a perception that you have to change a bit when you approach the corners. But overall, the style, driving style, is still the same.
But there could be one bum note in the Frenchman's hopes here. Co-driver Daniel Elena fractured his coccyx in their most recent Dakar sortie, but it wasn't enough to put him off getting back in the car when Loeb came calling.
He was happy for sure, because he always loves the rally, and He's happy to come back in the WRC. At the moment, his ass is a little bit painful, but I think it will be okay for the race. It has to, it was. I think he was happy and tried to prepare the notes and everything. So we are ready now. Success would be to be able to fight with the other drivers that are doing the championship all the season and every year since I retired. I know I have some disadvantage, like I didn't do the stages since 6 years. The cars are new and everything, and didn't drive so much, but the feeling was quite okay in the test. I find my marks, but no idea how it is compared to the level of today. But I'm looking forward to start the rally and to know a little bit more.
It was afternoon, and after a good lunch, well, Seb Ogier headed into Friday afternoon realising his worst fears about Mexico were so far unfounded. He even had time for a little blip all of his own.
Gauche 1 sur droite, 130 reste pas corde. Et 60 mètres, attention, droite 1 plus tard, pas corde en ciel. 50 mètres, droite.
Ogier clouting a wall at the end of stage 6, but he was still faster than the ailing Thierry Neuville. By the end of stage 8, Jari-Matti Lavala's troubles were coming up to boil nicely. The high engine temperature that had worried him in the morning was still high, and now a battery warning light was coming on in his car. And as Jari-Matti pulled up at the stop control at the end of the stage, well, there was little time for explanations.
I don't know. It looks like the battery, something is off with the alternator, so I need to go quickly.
Latvala in a trough. Teammate Esa-Pekka Lappi in a hole. €750,000 and a lot of scratches. He had missed the racing line going into that corner and missed everything on the way out. There was no getting it back on the road. Chris Meek wasn't exactly having things all his own way either. On Friday afternoon, he dropped a place to 4th. A silly mistake had caused it, he said. A case of what might have been. Toyota at this point still had one man in the fight, Estonia's Ott Tänak, on his debut in the Yaris on a gravel-based round of the championship. Ott was in 3rd place. Tänak was a teenager in shorts when Seb Ogier was winning his first championship, the first of 9. Loeb, back for fun. But now, having got the measure of this car, and it hadn't taken him long after all.
Fais le scratch. On fait combien? 23,59. Ah, ça va. Non, c'est hors d'eau. Et nous, combien on fait? Fastest. Ah, fastest. Ah, so it was good at the end.
Now, at one stage of Loeb's illustrious Citroën career, Danny Sordo was his teammate. Loyal, determined, but usually behind the Frenchman at the finish. As he ended the first full day here, we wondered if he could now, finally, turn the tables.
You're leading the rally, Danny. Did you expect to find yourself in this position at the end of day 1?
Yeah, I expect to be in the fight because last year was not so bad, but now Sebastian is coming really fast on this. It's annoying, you know.
Just like the old days, Danny, he's breathing down your neck, but so are the others. Just under 32 seconds separate the top 6 This is still anyone's rally. We'll be back with high-flying action after the break. But with every high comes a low. Welcome back to Mexico. This year we celebrate the 15th anniversary of the Rally Guanajuato Mexico, and it just gets better with age. Out on stage, a look at what lies ahead on Saturday. 140 kilometers of tough tests on the menu, 9 in total, with the highlight El Brinco, scene of the famous jump. While the action can never be predicted here at the Rally Guanajuato Mexico, you can always rely on the huge numbers of fans giving one of the warmest welcomes on the calendar, and they're already out in force today. Petrol heads from the world over line these sun-drenched stages, and it's not hard to see why.
The sun's up early in Mexico, and so were the fans. But for Thierry Neuville, even with the road order now reversed, for the second day, more punishment. Even reversed, he was first on the road, but he couldn't have imagined what was going to choke his car next. It was a water splash. The i20 gulped a bonnet load and brewed up nicely. Slowly, he coaxed it back up to battle speed. But another 2 minutes had gone. The championship leader, somehow, was still in 7th place. Oyt Tanak was the pick of the Toyota drivers on Saturday morning. Until, that is, he wasn't. Dealing with the perennial Mexican problem of overheating, Tanak's turbo failed, leaving the car with the power of a golf trolley. And Oyt wasn't going to go into the details as to why.
Oyt quite clearly with a problem. What is the problem?
I don't know, like we have 20 horsepower maybe.
Is it the same as yesterday the other boys were struggling with?
What do you mean? I have 20 horsepower.
Seb Ogier's weekend was going the other way, upwards, skywards, and the foundation of his weekend was built here. He won stage 11. He had survived Fry-Up Friday and now found the Mexican hills to his liking.
60 mètres, gauche 130 plus, bidon, 130 plus, bidon, on rouvre pour un ciel face, et 70 mètres gros frein, épingle gauche 50, risque pierre. 120 mètres, frein droite 120 moins cuvette béton, droite 120 moins cuvette béton.
But Saturday morning was all about that other Seb. King Seb, Mr. 9 times. He turned back the clock by deciding to return to this championship, and now he was beating the clock. The comeback was complete. He was now rally leader, and we were only halfway through the weekend. And then all routes led to El Brinco. This is where the fans flock to watch the cars get airborne. The stage is named after the jump. That's what brings the fans from all over the world to get their fill of the flying machine.
I'm from Los Angeles, they're from Mexico, but we're out here for the good spirit, good times, and good beer.
The most special thing in Rally Mexico is the jumping car that is fantastic here in El Brinco.
I like too much because you can feel the adrenaline when the car goes very faster. This is pozole, a Mexican food. You can see that.
This, remember, was the stage where Chris Meek famously went off last year. But this year he gets through without major incident. He's loose, but we love him for it. Danny Sordo in flight mode. Anything but autopilot as he clawed back 10 seconds on Seb Loeb. Some couldn't bear to watch. The rest got it all on their phone as proof.
That charge in El Brinco brings Danny Sordo to within 3 seconds of his former teammate, with Meek and Ogier now tied behind them. The battle for the podium simmering nicely.
Top that. But they would on the afternoon flight. Still trying to keep a lid on things, Thierry Neuville, wondering if he'd upset someone in Mexico this year. Guanajuato, the place of his first podium in the WRC, where the joyous scenes followed his next trick, a podium finish rescued by a gigantic bottle of beer to top up his leaking radiator. But this time, it was hard just staying on the road. His teammate this season was faring no better. 5th on the leaderboard, with a generous comfort zone now built around him, Andreas Mikkelsen. And he was desperate to wring some real power out of this choking Hyundai. Still, there was a bit of air down at the jump. Saturday afternoon also brought an end to the fairy tale return.
80 mètres sur glace, droite 134 du frein.
Sebastian Loeb flirted with a ditch and realised what he'd done. He'd picked up a puncture. Are you ready? He asked Daniel, his co-driver. They decided to stop. They would change it. He could have pressed on. But something about that ditch must have made him realise he had to do this. A rapid replacement would have to follow. But it had taken him and his co-driver over 2 minutes. That's a long, long time in this game. And the rally lead was gone.
I don't know, it was a stone on the line, inside, so nothing really bad. I didn't think I will have a puncture for that, and I have one.
Danny Sordo wasn't going to be immune to the threats of sharp rocks and rough ditches. Danny soldiered on through stage 14 for 31 kilometres with a flat tyre. So the opposite decision to Loeb, but he dropped time and lost his second place to Chris Meek. And with no spare on the car, he was forced to take it easy for the rest of the day.
A small stone at the beginning of the stage, some kilometers after the beginning. Unfortunately, The tire broke at the end, but we do almost all the stage like this.
But Meek too was in the wars.
Cut wall inside late. And line tight hairpin right, don't cut.
Chris said afterwards he'd got the speed he needed to challenge for the victory in Mexico, but the stupid mistakes, his words, not mine, just kept getting in the way. And all of that meant Seb Ogier was now in Easy Street.
Droite 140 millions à fond, corps de tard. Sur gauche, pour droite 150 midi, sur gauche 150, 150 mètres.
A shake-up in the overall standings then. Sébastien Ogier is your rally leader, as Sébastien Loeb drops to 5th. Under 11 seconds separate Meek and Sordo in 2nd and 3rd. Back in Leon, and Loeb reflects on a rare mistake.
I cut the tire on a stone nearly on the line. Maybe I shouldn't be there, but it was not a big mistake. But we paid it quite expensive, especially that we changed the wheel, and that was a mistake. At the end, we should drive until the end of the stage. We would lose less time.
It's been so far a really good weekend. I think, yesterday I was also pushing hard. Of course, you couldn't see less about the time, but today we were on the limit, and I'm happy with that.
Just 36 seconds behind your rally leader are Chris Meek and Paul Nagel. Time now to refuel with the boys and hear more from inside the Citroën camp.
You know, in this game you spend so much time together, away testing, on rallies. You head away in the car for 12 hours in the day, you have dinner at night, you go up the stairs in the hotel together. You certainly
Separate rooms.
Separate rooms. You need somebody you can get along with. He understands possibly when I'm pushing the limits a bit much, and he can feel that. I couldn't trust him to park my car in a bus stop, but he can sense when I'm driving maybe at 101% compared to 99, and his qualities for sure as a co-driver are, for me, second to none. He could be prettier, let's face it. Take a deep breath.
I suppose he brings the best out of anybody that works around him. He asks for a lot, he demands a lot of times, but that's what the level we're at. That's why we're winning rallies, we're leading rallies, we're in a factory team. But also he can steer a car. 9 times out of 10 he's pretty good at doing that as well. Like, so, bar the odd moment here and there.
Double tighten. Jesus Christ, Chris. Oh no.
I simply was too fast for the corner. That was it. And I possibly put too much angle on the car before the bad dip. Subsequently kicked it out of line, but we were both passengers for a short while as we exited through the hedge into the field. Paul stayed quiet because honestly he didn't know where to go. He didn't have patience for that section, unfortunately, so I just hit the throttle, buried it, and ran up the goat track on the sump cart and got back onto the stage, and away we went. So it was more dramatic for everyone else watching than for us in the car.
If you're in my position, you're afraid of nothing. And it's a typical example of Mexico here last year, so. Sometimes he can get hot and bothered if we have a bad stage time or we're just having a bad run, but there's no reining him in. You just have to keep control of him at times.
Sometimes I'm surprised because he'll throw a word in on the first pass of the stage in the morning. He's maybe felt a slide that maybe we shouldn't have had a slide, and he throws a word in to say, be careful on this one. So how did he remember that? For me, it's something that subconsciously goes on. There's an energy between us and the stage. It's a subconscious thing that just happens. Absolutely a blessing since Paul had his first child, because I used to turn up on the recce's and I got the conversation about the night in the pub with the mates the week before, and I have 2 kids at home, a 3-year-old and a 2-year-old, and sometimes I get fed up listening to this.
It's all changed for me now as well. I'm in the same boat now.
Now the recce conversations have changed somewhat, and go, yeah, them dirty nappies aren't so nice, huh? No, they're not. at least now we're in common ground when we have those conversations, you know.
No more talk of nappies after the break, we promise. But the odd moment like this could have you reaching for one. Join us as Rally Mexico continues. Welcome back to the Rally Guanajuato, Mexico, where the magic isn't just on the stages. It's a place where rally cars and locals go about their business side by side. The hum of 300 brake horsepower seems to be welcomed round these parts. Once they've negotiated the local traffic, here's what lies ahead on the final day. Just 3 stages to tackle, covering 46 kilometers, with additional points on offer on today's second run through the Las Minas power stage.
Sunday morning, and there were 3 stages to go now. Stage 21 will be used for the afternoon power stage. Most of the stars didn't have a prayer of making the podium in Mexico, so needed a careful look at where time could be saved. Bonus points could be won. But Andreas Mikkelsen found himself drifting from an obvious and cleaning racing line, and without grip, his Hyundai gave him one last bump. He was exploring the limits, he said. Luckily, it wasn't a costly hit. This one, by Chris Meek, however, was.
Before I keep in opens, must stop 15 left tight early here.
Paul Nagel had warned Chris with his notes. Must stop. Over concrete. Danger lay ahead. It wouldn't help.
Jesus Christ, Chris, not. Roll over, roll over.
It was deja vu. Meek encouraged the car to roll back onto its wheels.
Just watch the clutch, Chris.
Paul sounded desperate. The fans did the trick, and suddenly, without part of his rear wing, Meek was off into a field again, looking for a way back onto the stage. Did it look familiar? Whereas last year's last-ditch effort saved victory, this one let second place slip.
And left the line. Cut open.
Curses. Curses.
Jesus Christ, Chris, not. Roll over, roll over.
As history repeated itself, and then a mad dash to the stage end. And it revealed just how much time Chris had lost. Over 36 seconds.
I just arrived and the car slid, and there was a deep gully on the outside, and I caught the wheel and tipped it on the side. We had to wait for the spectators to put us back in.
Meanwhile, with mayhem breaking out behind him on the leaderboard, the rally leader calmly went about his business, extending his lead and making it nigh on impossible to catch him with the power stage to come. This was vintage Ogier. Road sweeping has been a hot topic again in Mexico, and using aerial analysis you can see why. Here we see Thierry Neuville, first on the road with all the loose gravel to sweep, while Sébastien Ogier, sixth on the road, benefits from a cleaner line and better grip. Now lay them over each other and you see that Ogier's increased grip makes him quicker through even this short corner. Extrapolate that over a whole stage and the advantage is clear to see. And the search for that cleaner, faster line on these roads around Guanajuato went right to the end of Rally Power Stage as well. 11 kilometres left to tackle, but team tacticians were reading the rule book once again. Finally though, bits between the teeth and a smile on his face, Jari-Matti Latvala decided to try and add victory on the power stage to his first stage win of the morning. He missed out by just a second and a bit. Mind you, the scene at the beginning of the stage suggested teammate Roy Tanak was missing out completely. But then, the sight of Seb Loeb taking to the road down to Guanajuato, and then the penny dropped. Drivers were doing their best to clean up for the last road of the weekend for their teammates. Latvala for the loitering Tanak, Loeb for Chris Meek.
Ouvre long. Ouvre long et frein pour gauche. 132, ferme 110.
Seb had been one puncture short of perfection, and the weekend had sharpened his appetite for more.
I enjoyed a lot to drive this car. It's a new generation of cars, so it was really good moments. Very good moment when we took the lead. Very bad when we changed the wheel. But overall, I was very happy this weekend.
Now nursing suspension damage from that tumble on stage 20, Chris Meek could afford to turn his back on the power stage temptation. He was driving for his first podium of the year.
6 right in and 60 stop for line 5 right minus, don't push 20 tons slow. Straight late over the crunch box.
The rivals watched on, waiting for Tanak and Neuville, both now out of order. Danny Sordo's weekend had been top stuff though, and again no need for the distraction of the bonus points for him. It is only a part season for Danny with Hyundai, but he got full marks for grabbing this opportunity. Even finishing the weekend with, look, another puncture. Then the moment M-Sport had waited for. One of Seb Ogier's best. With conditions and road order working against him, the defending champion had defied the odds. He wasn't supposed to win. Not starting the weekend second in the road order, but try telling him that. Victory to the Frenchman. Time to punch the air and thump the desk. Ogier was off to the podium. And then came Tanak, on the clean, fast roads that he had waited for and checked into the stage late for. His tactics had paid off. He had got the prized cleaner conditions and was winning the 5 bonus points. He'd used the rulebook just as Ogier had in Sweden. Ogier set the precedent there. Tanak followed it up with maximum effect here. Better grip, better time. The statue of El Pipila stands high above Guanajuato, the city hero from the revolution. Ogier was adding another chapter to his own legend. But the crews had all been warned not to hit these chicane barriers at the end of the power stage. Ogier's collision was ruled by the stewards to be deliberate, and a 10-second penalty followed.
5 bonus power stage points then go to Tanak for playing the tactical card. Lavalla, Neuville, Mikkelsen and Loeb all benefiting from Ogier's penalty.
It's a special place for me every year. 7 podium, I think, 4 victory. I love it here, it's a great atmosphere. Even though I knew this weekend would be tough, starting second on the road, I knew our chance was pretty small. But we never gave up, and I think we did a very strong performance with Julien. Very pleased with that, very pleased with the fact that I guess we progressed a lot since last year. The car seems faster on gravel, so that's good for the rest of the season.
Ogier claiming victory by over 53 seconds in the end after Sordo's second puncture. Meek back on the podium in third, Mikkelsen fourth after a difficult weekend, and a top 5 finish for Sebastian Loeb.
The way that he's just tackled this event this weekend has just been extraordinary. Incredible performance. The pressure's on us now as a team, you know, because any small mechanical issue, we know that he's not going to let us down. So it puts a lot more pressure on us as a team to make sure that the car's 100% for every rally, you know, every test, everything's so vital. And especially now, with the championship being so close, it's going to be the closest I think I've ever known it. So, you know, every little detail is so important.
Simon Palmer would be good.
So it is advantage Ogier again in the Drivers' Championship, 4 points ahead of Neuville, with Mikkelsen third and Meek up to fourth, level on points with Latvala. Hyundai retain top spot in the manufacturers' standings, 12 points ahead of M Sport. Citroën and Toyota trail, but 17 points separate the four teams. To the podium, and the winner, of course, receives the famous Mexican boots. It turns out they were destined for a Frenchman after all, Sébastien Ogier. With or without them, he walked over the rest of the field in Mexico. We'll be back in Europe for Rally Corsica next time out, but for now we bid adios from another thrilling Rally Mexico.
Jesus Christ. Stop it.